A proud supporter of this program, Riverbend Food Bank's vision is a hunger-free Iowa and Illinois.
Whelan Presley Funeral Home and Crematory has been serving Quad City families since 1889. Whelan Presley Funeral Homes are located in Rock Island, Milan, and Reynolds and are proud supporters of WQPT.
A new decade is coming. How are the cities positioned to grow? And one of the most dangerous seasons for fires. What you might forget to do during the next few days in the cities. Moline firefighters have seen it all too many times, easily preventable fires during the holidays. What they're doing differently this year and something you might consider to make your house safer. But first, 2020 vision. The Quad City business community is getting ready for a new year and for some, a new decade of uncertainty. What is needed to make this area grow and what are the goals in the coming year? We sat down with the head of the Quad City Chamber of Commerce to see what Paul Rumler sees in the year ahead. You heard about the strengths of the Quad City economy. You're going into 2020. How do you build on that? I mean, what is the Chamber doing to make 2020 stronger than any other year?
Yeah, the Quad Cities Chamber is the go-to place for business. If they want to know what's happening in the marketplace, if they want to develop a network or develop best practices, the Chamber is that go-to place. So today's economic forecast was really given that look into the crystal ball to say, how are we performing as a regional economy and what can our business members expect to do with their investments and what's that return going to look like in the coming year?
Well, and what the Chamber has really done, to be honest, is that you've really looked at the young entrepreneurs. You've looked at the new businesses in particular.
Well, we have a focus on the entire economy, and half of it is how do we grow those existing businesses? We don't think that we're going to survive and grow by attracting new companies to the Quad Cities area. There are just fewer investment deals like that. We've been very fortunate over the last few years to get deals like Kraft Heinz and Sterilite, but we're going to grow because our existing businesses are getting bigger or better, or new entrepreneurs are getting into the market. So we're looking across the spectrum, and we've created some new business service programs. Julie Forsyth on our team has really been innovative with her approach on how we identify those entrepreneurs and really grow them and provide those resources to help them be successful.
Not giving up on manufacturing, of course, but I mean, the Quad City area obviously very fortunate to have a Deere Company. You just don't want to be so heavily dependent on one industry anymore, which we learned in the 1980s.
So if you look at the diversification of the Quad Cities economy between today and 1980, light years difference. Mm-hmm. We're actually the third most diversified economy in the entire country based on our industries. That is a big testament from where we were in the 1980s, where we were relying on one major industry in the farm implements. Manufacturing is still important to this community. The Quad Cities Chamber maintains a manufacturing innovation hub that we are a leader in the country that's providing technical assistance to help our manufacturers innovate, apply new technology, and adapt to their workforce to the growing needs of the manufacturing base. What I heard today is that manufacturing will remain strong. They're being more efficient and they'll be more innovative. It might not lead to new job growth, though. And so what I heard today is that the Quad Cities economy as a whole is going to outpace the regional economy and the national economy, which is a really good thing. If things are going bad nationally, the Quad Cities is going to do better. And that's a really good thing for us to know about. And the same thing with some of those leading manufacturers or employers. They're going to do better. They're making more money. They're growing exports. It might not just lead to new jobs, though. And so we have to be a little bit more creative with what our expectations are. We want to have our companies be successful. Job growth is important, but it won't be the leading indicator of success for the Quad Cities over the coming year.
What is being done as far as new business attractions to the Quad City area? Because it also dovetails nicely into the fact that over the last 20 years, the Quad Cities Chamber of Commerce used to have two separate entities in two different states. So many arguments about, oh, Illinois stealing from Iowa, Iowa stealing from Illinois. That just doesn't seem to be the case anymore. It's kind of working as one team.
We are one team, and we've been really successful in bridging that historical divide. We talk to the states of Iowa and Illinois and make sure that we aren't poaching from one another. We often have companies that come to us and say they think the grass is greener on the other side. And we'll work through with them the statistics and the business case. And we do some metro comparisons between the Quad Cities and other markets. This year, the Illinois Quad Cities and the Iowa Quad Cities is even. In business competitiveness, the cost of doing business in Illinois and Iowa is actually just an edge to the Illinois Quad Cities, but it's essentially a wash. But we're much more competitive than Des Moines or Chicago, St. Louis, the Twin Cities, and that's a really good story to tell that no matter where you locate here in the Quad Cities, Illinois or Iowa, it's more competitive.
Do you still have concerns, though, as far as the future growth for the area? Because as you've been alluding to, is an economic forecast was saying maybe 1% to 2% growth, which doesn't seem robust, but steady.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about the pace of growth right now. I wish it were higher. What I'm concerned about is how do we, as the Quad Cities, do better than our competitors or than our peers. And based on the forecast that we heard today, the Quad Cities is expected to do better. We can't expect to be the best of the best all the time. But if the economy is going to go down, we want to minimize that decline, and we want to accentuate and accelerate the increase as best we can. And it sounds like right now we're doing a good job.
You really did point out the diversification of the Quad City economy as being a real positive thing. Yet it seems like so much of the growth appears to be in the service industry area. Is that a concern?
I don't see it. I think the service industry is extremely positive. It means actually it's a spin-off industry that serves kind of that core industrial base. It also shows a shift in our economy, increased diversification into more tech, IT, computer type industries is a really good sign.
The other thing we've seen, changing course a bit, is the infrastructure and the way people view the Quad Cities. And I want to talk about that for a moment, because one of the areas that we've seen incredible expansion and attention to are the downtowns of each of the communities. As you look at Davenport, now you're looking at Bettendorf, which is never used to have a downtown. That was the old joke. Yep. Moline coming on strong. Rock Island once again trying to have another renaissance, and even East Moline. That's got to be a huge accomplishment.
So there's more work to do. The Quad Cities Chamber is looking at how do we collaborate regionally across all of our downtowns. So that way we just don't see growth happen from one downtown and move to the next downtown and transfer it from one to another. We want all 5, 6, 7, however many downtowns we want to consider doing great together. And so the Chamber is actually spending new resources to collaborate with all of those downtowns. And we see some really positive signs in the next few months to come. What I see is the importance of downtowns is really in creating place. As we are in the process, 10 years ago, I would have talked to you about job growth is paramount. In order to be successful as a region, we need new jobs. Today, it's about how do we attract new people and retain people into our market. In order to do that, we need to create place. Downtowns is central to creating a quality place where people want to invest their lives. Second, that will attract companies to locate. Today, companies are following people. So to attract people, we have to create place. People will come, and that's where companies follow.
And one of the big things is trying to make the Quad Cities cool.
That's exactly it.
Because you're trying to look for, because as you said, I mean, young people are looking for a place that not only where they work, but that they enjoy having their life.
I think there's really some commonalities between the boomer generation and the millennial generation.
How so?
They want to be in a place that's cool. And I think that's what we're building. So it's not just for the young generation. This is a great place and a cool place for our entire community.
One of the other big things, and you said it was one of the biggest challenges and priorities for the Chamber is workforce readiness. In other words, you have employers that are looking for employees, looking for workers. Yep. The key is to have enough trained workforce available, and that you see as a deficiency in the Quad City area.
The Q2030 Regional Action Plan has identified the need to grow within the age range of 25 and 34-year-olds. The Quad Cities Chamber is looking at how do we grow as a region. We've been stagnant in our population growth for the last 30 years. We've been stuck as a 6-county region at 474,000 people forever. And so we want to get to 500,000 people. We need new people here in order for our companies to grow. And that's been our biggest limiting factor right now is they can't fill the workforce needs that they have. And so we need new people. That will include skill sets and level of experience throughout the spectrum. And it's not just one industry. It's not like we can say that we just need welders today. We need the spectrum of employees at each level of experience. And that's what we're going to focus on over the next many years.
Yeah, and one of the big areas, of course, is the apprenticeship programs that are being offered. I mean, for those people that don't want to get the college degree or don't want to have the college debt, these apprenticeship programs is an area that the Chamber seems to be really willing to push people toward.
Post-high school completion is extremely important. Getting your high school degree is great. We need to encourage all of our students to do something after that. It doesn't have to be a 4-year degree. It can be a 2-year, it can be a certificate, it can be an apprenticeship program. But we see companies like John Deere leading the way in creating apprenticeship and internship programs. And we're seeing more companies want to be part of that type of initiative. And so the Chamber will be partnering with the United Way and other agencies that are really focused on the education sector. And we want to make sure that we're exposing the business community as to how they can be engaged in that to fill their workforce pipeline.
You briefly mentioned one of the programs, one of the initiatives that the Chamber is very active in is that the Q2030 program, yep. Spearheading that. For people who don't quite understand that, I mean, this is actually a real vision for the area, and it's creeping up closer and closer. It's now a decade away.
Yeah, so Q2030 is something that 240 plus organizations, companies, governments have endorsed. The Chamber is one of those endorsers. We're also staffing the backbone, is what we call it, to make sure that we're the accountability partner to see that vision become a reality. And so we've had some great ideas come from citizens of the Quad Cities over the last few years. We want to make sure that those ideas turn into action over the coming decade. And so we're going through a mid-course review. We're calling it Q2030 2.0 that will be looking at the past 3 years of successes and what do we need to do to really ramp up and be successful over the next decade to make that dream come true.
When you think of the Chamber of Commerce in the 50s, it was like, oh, it's the good old boys club. It was the people that already have the money, the bankers and all that. The Chamber is a whole lot different. And one of the things that you've done also is you've had the roundtables and trying to get more of the community involved in the planning for the future. How does that end up? It's already been held, but that doesn't mean it's over. So
the best focus area for this next 2020 year is about how do we turn those ideas into action. And so we have had 3 years worth of big table feedback where citizens came forward and said, I have ideas to grow the Quad Cities area. We don't want those ideas to sit on a shelf. The limiting factor for us is funding. How do we as a Quad Cities community between Scott and Rock Island County and beyond actually pool our money, actually do something to take those ideas off the shelf and put them into reality. And so we have a proposal that we'll be issuing next year that will help resolve that. And we'll be asking for some help from our state legislators and Congress and our local community to help make that a reality.
We're entering a new year, 2020. Any major predictions? I mean, what can we see in the Quad Cities as far as the local economy is concerned?
Well, I'd say that our local economy will beat our local competition, our regional competition. We'll continue to see some activity from our manufacturing community and other industries, but I think you'll see some positive movements on everything from riverfront development to the I-74 bridge will continue to progress, and we'll have some news likely next spring on passenger rail.
That's Quad City Chamber of Commerce President Paul Rumler. And in a moment, stopping the fire before it even starts, a Moline Fire Department initiative aimed at making us a little safer during the holidays. But first, here's Laura Adams with some great ideas as we get closer to Christmas, if you're ready to go out and about.
This is Out and About for December 9th through 15th. Bishop Hill welcomes you to Lucia Nights, December 13th and 14th, beginning with the lighting of the park Christmas tree at 6, while Geneseo's annual Christmas Walk and Lighted Parade takes place December 14th. It's also time for families of all ages to experience a Polar Express pajama party at the Putnam Museum, December 12th through 15th. St. James Lutheran Church in Bettendorf presents a live nativity December 14th starting at 4, while holiday cheer abounds at Niabi Zoo and their Breakfast with Santa December 14th. The John Deere Planetarium features their Season of Light holiday show December 7th through 13th, Saturday and Sunday at 2, and weekday evenings at 7 p.m. RSVPs are recommended. On stage, Circa 21 is presenting 2 holiday favorites, Elf the Musical and Mr. Scrooge, a children's holiday musical, while A Motown Christmas is coming to the Adler Theater December 9th, featuring past and present members of the Motown's most legendary groups, the Temptations, the Miracles, and the Capitals. The Spotlight Theater is presenting the holiday classic Miracle on 34th Street, the musical, through the 15th. Turns out being surrounded by children, tinsel, and merriment isn't all it's cracked up to be. In Santaland Diaries at the Bruner Theater, December 12th through 15th, rated R. Plus, Ballet Quad Cities presents the Nutcracker Ballet, December 14th and 15th at the Adler Theater. For more information, visit wqpt.org.
Thank you, Laura. The holidays are a great time to revisit some old friends of WQPT's. The Westbrook Singers decided to retire a few years ago, but the songs from the first family of Quad City gospel music should never be forgotten, especially their arrangements of holiday classics. Here's the Westbrook Singers with Do You Hear What I Hear?
Said the night wind to the little lamb. Do you see what I see? Way up in the sky, little lamb. Do you see what I see? A star, dancing in the night with a tail as big as a kite, with a tail as big as a kite. Said the little lamb to a shepherd boy. Hear what I hear, hear what I hear. Ringing through the sky, shepherd boy. Hear what I hear, hear what I hear. A song, high above the trees, with a voice as big as the sea, with a voice as big as the sea. See what I see, what I see. Said the shepherd boy to the mighty king. Know what I know. In your palace warm, mighty king. Know what I know. A child shivers in the cold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Let us bring him silver and gold.
Do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? Do you see? Do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? Do you hear? Do you hear what I hear? Do you hear what I hear? Do you hear? Do you hear what I hear? Do you hear what I hear? Do you know? Do you know what I know? Do you know what I know? Do you know? Do you know what I know? Do you know what I know? See what I see. See what I see. People everywhere. Listen to what I say. Pray for peace. Know what I everywhere. Know what I know. A child shivers in the cold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Do you hear what I hear? The Savior is born. Do you hear it? Do you hear what I hear? God's right is born.
The Westbrook Singers with Do You Hear What I Hear? It's a dangerous time of the year if you're not careful. I'm not being overly dramatic. In the U.S., fire departments responded to about 780 home fires each holiday season. That adds up to $12 million in property damage each year. In the cities, one department is using a holiday display to make a point. And joining us is the Moline Fire Marshal Jerry Spiegel. Thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
You're calling it Keep the Wreath Red. What's this about?
Well, it started up in Naperville. Lieutenant on Naperville Fire Department back in 1954 started this program, and the idea is to start with all red bulbs. And each time you have a structure fire with some kind of damage to structure, you would change the bulb to white. And the goal is to keep the wreath red with red bulbs. What we do is we get the community involved. We put a wreath on every station, so when people in the community drive by, they can keep kind of keep track of, you know, the wreath and how many bulbs are changing from red to white.
How are we doing so far this year?
Actually, we're doing really well. I was a little nervous at the beginning because day one we had a structure fire. It was a minor one, a cooking incident. So we have one bulb so far. And like I said, our goal is to keep it red.
You know, there's so many things that you sit there and go, well, duh, that fire was caused by this or that or this or that. One of the things I know you must absolutely hate are extension cords as well as candles. So let's talk about it. First of all, the Christmas tree itself. We have seen pictures of you guys lighting the trees just to show how quickly the fire can spread.
Right.
It really does behoove you to water this thing.
It does. I tell people, when you buy a fresh cut tree or you buy a fresh tree off of a lot, the biggest thing is to check to see how dry that tree is when you first purchase it off the lot. If you cut a fresh tree, you want to make sure you keep watering that tree daily. Even with a tree you buy off a lot, water it daily. Keep checking that. Make sure it's drinking water. If the needles start to fall off that tree, you know, they're brittle, that tree is getting dry real quick. So now we got to be more cautious about having, you know, your candles next to your fireplace, any kind of open flame, 3 feet away from that tree. If you have a dry tree compared to a live green fresh tree, that dry tree only takes about 12 to 15 seconds to be fully involved. If you got next to a window, everything else is going to be, it puts out intense heat. When you have a tree that's pretty fresh, it takes a couple minutes for that tree to get going. They've done tests and studies, and those videos are out there.
Yeah, I mean, because we see those videos all the time, especially with the flames hitting the ceiling and spreading so quickly.
Yes.
I think that's what surprises so many people is, as you said, if it's a drier tree, how quickly it does spread.
Very quick, very quick.
And if you're living in a home or a mobile home or anything, even an apartment building, the danger can spread quickly throughout the entire house.
Right. You know, especially a mobile home, you know, the walls are very thin, they burn very quick. A lot of times they don't have drywall on the inside, it's panel board. That burns very quick. Even in a home, like I said, you get your Christmas decorations up, you've got things hanging on the walls, you got your curtains, all that. When you have
presents underneath,
presents under the tree,
wrapping
it's
paper,
all wrapping paper, cardboard, plastics. It accelerates that fire.
Do you see a lot of other problems with other decorations? Because let's be honest, we put decorations up all the time. We keep the lights that are attached to it. We jam them into a bag at the end of the year. We bring them back out, and you may see some frayed wires, or you may not see some frayed wires.
Well, you may not. You know, you get these light bulbs are so small, it's hard to see. I mean, to go through every line that you have to make sure there's no frayed wires in that, it's pretty tasking. It takes time. Granted, most of us don't do that.
No, right.
We just put them up on the tree. But we need to be aware of how we store those, how we wrap them up. We just don't want to put them in a bunch, you know, stuff a bunch of, you know, objects that's going to fray the wires, you know, and we want to make sure that the wires are safe. And I also talk about make sure you're using the right type of Christmas lights. You know, there's lights for outdoors only. You want to make sure you have indoor, outdoor, or just indoor lights. Because the outdoor lights, they can, you know, like the old bulbs, the C9s, C7s, they tend to get hot.
Burn a little harder.
You don't want to put those on a dry, live tree.
It's also a time when the family is coming together, so there's two other issues: cooking and, gee, this is a good time to use the fireplace. You know, you hear it on the scanner over and over and over again about chimney fires.
Yes.
During the winter seasons, of course. Some people just will not check their flues or anything involving the chimney until it's too late.
Well, think about it. Do you want to spend a couple $100s to have someone come and inspect your chimney and clean it, or do you want to spend tens of $20,000 after that chimney fire, you know, and gets into your attic and your house and burns the roof off your house?
So what do you suggest? Because, I mean, I never use my fireplace that often, so I used to do it every other year. I mean, is it something that you believe has to be done every year?
They recommend once a year, just to be safe.
Right.
But if you are using the correct dry wood, you have less creosote. You don't want to burn your wrappings. You don't want to burn your garbage. You don't want to burn anything but dry wood that's recommended for a fireplace. Use the right fuel to burn in your fireplace.
Now, you pointed out you want the tree to be at least 3 feet away from the fireplace. Is that also if it's a gas fireplace as opposed to a natural fire?
Yeah, when you're talking about a gas versus a wood burning fireplace, we're talking about dryness. The heat from that gas fireplace can dry your tree out faster. And that goes along with your vents in your home. When you have your heat on in your home, if you put your tree in front of a vent, that air constantly blowing on the tree will tend to dry that tree out faster. So what I would say, if you don't have a choice, close the vent, put something over the top of that vent by the tree so you don't have that dry heat blowing on that tree.
We're also hearing a lot more of kitchen fires that are going on right now. I don't know why, but during the holidays and during the winter season, you hear a lot more of these fires that are starting in the kitchen.
We've had several kitchen fires this year in the last couple months, and a majority of them are people falling asleep.
Is that so?
They're putting stuff on the stove.
So it's not so much a grease fire or something that just splattered?
Some of them are grease fires because they'll turn the grease on, they'll wait for it to get hot, walk away, forget about it, or fall asleep. Next thing you know, it's burning over the pan and there's a fire. Your cabinets are burning right now. So that's where we want smoke detectors involved. If you do fall asleep, you're at least alerted, soon enough to call.
Quad City Fire Department, yours included, has been very active in making sure that each home has a smoke detector installed.
Yes.
How's the program going, and is there a new initiative for that?
It's going strong. I've been doing it for 2 years now. It's still growing strong. Every department in the Quad Cities is still active in installing free smoke detectors. You just got to call your local department. The Red Cross is also doing it.
There's really no excuse.
There's no excuse not to have a smoke detector in your home. It shocks me that today people still don't have smoke detectors in their home.
Especially if you have children, but it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter.
Let's talk a little bit about the challenges of fighting a fire in the cold weather. We see you guys out there at times when there's ice just dripping off your equipment, as well as your men and women that are out there. Is this a really difficult time for firefighting, or do you just kind of work through that because you're used to that through training?
Well, we do train a lot. We train all year round, wintertime, but it is difficult when you have your very cold weather like we did last year. We had 30 below. We had a fire last year. It was 30 below, 50 below with the wind chill. That takes a toll on the men. It takes a toll on the equipment. We had 5-inch hose freezing up. Your 2.5, if you shut it off, it only takes a matter of minutes for that hose line to freeze up once you shut that water. As long as that water's not flowing, it's going to freeze up.
A lot of challenges. Also, Jerry, thank you so much.
You're
because
welcome.
Let's be honest, during the holidays when people are at home enjoying it with their families, there's firefighters, there's first responders that are working, making sure that we're safe on these very special days.
Yes.
Fire Marshal Jerry Spiegel, thanks so much for joining us.
Welcome.
We do appreciate it. And before we leave you today, we want to salute one of our own. Congratulations to Mary Press, who officially retired as the general manager of WQPT this month. She made the most with the least, shepherding all of us through a transition period and showing public broadcasters across the nation what can be done with a small dedicated staff. We are better for knowing Mary Press and wish her well as she enjoys spending more time with family and friends throughout the cities and beyond. So to Mary, congratulations on a job well done. On the air, on the radio, on the web, and on your mobile device. Thanks for taking some time to join us as we talk about the issues on the cities.
A proud supporter of this program, Riverbend Food Bank's vision is a hunger-free Iowa and Illinois.
Whelan Presley Funeral Home and Crematory has been serving Quad City families since 1889. Whelan Presley Funeral Homes are located in Rock Island, Milan, and Reynolds and are proud supporters of WQPT.